Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Student of the Game. I am Kyle Nass, the Student of the Game, and listen, if you're here, chances are you're talking sport, and we're glad you're doing it here with us. Listen, I know already all the time you're going to be like, McCall, you're not talking NBA. You're going to go see the Timberwolves play the Magic tonight for Fans for Sports Network. It's not my fault it's NFL playoffs this weekend, okay? I didn't write the schedule, but we're all better for it for one particular thing. Listen, I make a really big point of bringing guests back on my show when they talk the appropriate schmack, and they are right. I had Danielle Orsino, the Fey Princess of Football, come on, do a victory lap with me, actually, on that one about how letting Saquon go from the Giants was a mistake. And there has been somebody who has had confidence in the Washington Commanders, that I have to give her props to come on as we talk about the Red Tails Commanders playoff game coming up here very shortly. And of course, I refer to Madam President herself of not only CWall Sports, but Bowie TV. The honor, joy, and privilege remains every time to have Candi Waller, CWall, on the show once again. Welcome in. Great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Listen, you know who wins when you're on my show? America, okay? Because then they get to see us, and it's a beautiful thing.
I'm going to have to agree.
Yeah, listen, it's flawless logic. I'm going to get right into it.
Okay.
We had talked about on this show, you had broken some news on this show regarding the ownership change back when all of that happened. Mm-hmm. You had said this was going to be a big deal. You had come back from camp with an optimism that I appreciated, but apparently couldn't grasp. Then some other teams went completely kaput. Like, listen, we knew the Giants were going to be bad. We knew that. We did not know the Cowboys would be quite this bad. And then the Eagles had their early struggles. And as we would find out, the Commanders would be, I got sick of the Red Tails thing. I just roll with me on it. But the Commanders actually beat them, granted with a backup quarterback. Earlier in the year, and I don't think I brought this to you, but I brought it up with other people on my show. I brought it up on the Huddle Up podcast, on the Earnestly Speaking podcast. When the Eagles were struggling early in the year, with the Cowboys being down and in clear trouble with their salary cap situation, with the Giants being attached to Danny Dimes and then eventually just outright cutting him and all of that, it seemed the instability in the division was awful, while Dan Quinn, Rookie of the Year candidate, Jalen Daniels, and that offense and excellent defense was thriving, building, and growing with their youth. I saw an NFC East power vacuum forming. Do you see that, Candi Waller?
Absolutely. It has been something to watch, because it's like we're seeing an organizational culture change unfold right before our eyes.
Should we call it a revolution?
In 1 year. It's like a true transformative thing that I feel like everybody has to get used to, right? That's outside the building. I mean, from a fan base perspective, from everyone else who is watching on the outside, from a national and local media perspective, I think we've been so conditioned to be used to this team being bad and being a place where careers come to die, that it is unbelievable that not only coaches, but also veteran players are saying they have rekindled their love for the game in Washington. They have found the joy again in Washington. And then you have these rookies who have come in who are acting like they're not rookies, right? And they are rolling with the best of the best on the other side of the scrimmage line like they've been doing it their entire lives. It has been something to witness for sure.
Well, listen, first of all, when you're talking about being a member of a media group that's just used to be a team being bad, let me remind you, Fans First Sports Network, I cover the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I know a little bit about that life. A, B, Yeah, and that's the reason why I hinted, like, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. You took it gracefully as you do, but like, it really struck me right in that moment as you described it that this is a true franchise revolution if it can be continued beyond this year. And I think part of the key to capturing that is winning this weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if they can do that. See, that's called a segue, folks. Going into this particular game, like I feel like Jaden Daniels' health has been, I'm not going to say questionable, but like he's been dinged up a bit. Not that I blame him for it. He's not RG3 bad. I'm not shouting at the TV, Mike Shanahan, don't put him back in. But, he's been dinged up a bit. Maybe it's too soon for us to talk about that again, but that is a pain we both share. But what's really been the key to this team being truly successful? I mean, it's not just Jaden Daniels, pulling miracle Hail Marys out of the sky, is it?
Well, I mean, I think one key aspect is not necessarily just Jaden. I mean, Jaden is a huge part, but I think it's quarterback play, right? The moments when the Commanders have had to put in Marcus Mariota, the offense has not missed a beat. That is a very scary thought, right? Yeah. That this is not a situation where there is a quarterback controversy going on, much less a quarterback continuum, meaning if Jaden has to go out, right, for whatever reason, Marcus has been able to come in and keep it going for certain. And I think this is one of the things I've been really watching and paying attention to is this coaching staff, right? It was so much right around this time of year last year about the GM. And I think that was one of the Bowie TV things where I said, Adam Peters. If this ownership group wants to start fresh, but finding the balance in starting fresh, but making a home run, you got to get Adam Peters. I've been an Adam Peters fanatic. You know what I mean? For years, because he is an amazing talent evaluator. And they got Adam Peters. No one knew the head coaching thing, right? And it ended up being Dan Quinn. It was like, what is going on? And I'm going to tell you what ended up making me think, OMG, he's going to get Dan Quinn, was that per NFLPA survey, it was the list of coaches players would want to play for. And Dan Quinn was one of the coaches at the top of that list. And I was like, yep. And I'm like, I think it might be Dan Quinn, everybody.
Certainly the opposite of Eric Bieniemy, am I right?
Completely opposite, for sure, right? It's not even, so you don't know what you're going to get because it was still like the stench of the Falcons going down in the Super Bowl. So the Patriots that no one can forget. I know I could. So it's, okay, now Dan Quinn came in, but then I started to see how the coaching staff was orchestrated, and I was like, ooh, this is getting a little good. But then I saw them start to sign veterans when they didn't have a quarterback yet. I mean, they signed Marcus Mariota, yes, but it was like at the combine, Adam Peters was very clear before he was 30 seconds into his media availability, Kyle, when he's like, the last time I came here, I found a quarterback, and now I'm back here again to get a quarterback. And I was like, good grief, Adam, just tell us how you really feel. And Jaden Daniels. And then it was like everybody else came together. So it's like we're watching this movie and this thing just kind of unfold. So you look at the connection. So yes, quarterback play, but then there's this whole, the coaches are actually coaching strategically to win football games. And then you have this team of guys that genuinely believe that they can win every football game they play. Now they haven't, they do. They really do. And it's just that mentality that they're not going to quit. And there's always one more second to win the football game. Hence all these five clutch moments where they're winning at the last minute. So,
by the way, as a side note, don't be surprised if that speech you gave about GMs and their importance doesn't end up on the Duval Dive. Because that organization was dumb enough to keep Trent Baalke, whereas yours was smart enough to find Adam Peters. So there's that. So I keep throwing that out there. I'm not bitter. I'm just noticing.
We are definitely going to have the Jacksonville conversation to let me know what is going on down there, because like just a couple years ago, that was my sleeper team. Like when I would be talking, that was my sleeper team. And now I'm like, what just happened? So yes, we will have to talk about that for sure.
Listen, that's well, I'll save that. I'll put that on the list, right? Perhaps we can have you on the Duval Dive, even we can discuss it there, right? We'll do that. But but let's get into this game, because to the Bucs credit, what they've done to turn around Baker Mayfield is amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to say that he's my favorite player, but he is not the same dude he was when he came in the league, and him healthy has been dangerous. And let's give the Bucs credit. They understand what they have with their receiver core.
Yep.
And they understand what they have in the running back core behind Baker. And their Vita Vea is a beast, and he's got guys around him on defense, granted long in the tooth, but dangerous. They have a roster that's really good. Frankly, I said they would be close early on with the Falcons. I said there would be one game that decides it, and I credited the Falcons. And the Falcons got the tie-break advantage, beating them twice, and still found a way to blow it at the end of the season. So, maybe it's a Kirk Cousins thing, but we don't need to talk about that right now either. So I say all that to say, as somebody who covers the Commanders closely, what worries you most about the Bucs on the field?
You set them up front. Baker Mayfield. I've been saying it. I'm like, Baker Mayfield is still getting a bad rap. Hey, look, Baker Mayfield is having a great season.
He really is.
He's had a great few seasons. Like, he really, really is. And I feel like he's completely under the radar, and he should not be. And yes, the Commanders are a different team than they were when they faced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1, but so are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker's actually better right now than he was in week 1. And while the Commanders defense was getting pressure on Baker, they couldn't get him down. And then you mentioned the run game, Bucky Irvin. That's a problem. It's a lot. The Commanders are having a challenge right now on defense in stopping the run. On the other end, on the offense, they're having a challenge establishing the run. Those are two things you absolutely must do. Be able to do well in the playoffs, establish the run, and then stop the run. Then you mentioned the receivers on the Bucs side. The Commanders have Marshawn Lattimore now. Yes, this could be a duel, an old-fashioned duel between Marshawn and Mike Evans. I mean, historically.
I love that you guys got a defensive star like that after losing Chase Young the way you did to help my 49ers. I'm very good to say. No, I'm glad you mentioned Lattimore. I should have done it myself. That's wonderful.
Oh, no, but you mentioned the receivers, right, on the Tampa Bay side. And I'm like,
it's a big deal.
Marshawn has been dealing with the hamstring thing. He was a full participant in practice today. So that is clearly a sign. Probably playing Sunday night.
And familiar with these guys. Let's remember, he came from the States, used to play them twice a year. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's going to be a war. It's going to be a duel, but it's going to be on both sides. Both of these teams want to win this football game, but Baker Mayfield's name is not talked about enough, I feel like, across the outlets. His name is just not mentioned enough, and he's having a really good year, and he could absolutely continue to cause problems in this game on Sunday night.
Let me ask you this question. If I see X happen, I know the Commanders won.
If I see the Commanders getting to Baker Mayfield early and often, I will know that the Commanders won.
Okay. So you think this is Baker or bust here? And granted, it's interesting. You mentioned a running back named Bucky, but apparently here in the playoffs in January, you think Baker Mayfield is your winter soldier. Huh? See what I did there?
Yes, that's what you did there.
the dad jokes. You know about these things. These things are going to happen on my show.
But you're funny.
No, and listen, obviously, I think, well, I mean, in any game, it's obvious that getting to the quarterback is important. Mm-hmm. I'm with you in that it's a little extra so when it comes to Baker Mayfield doing his thing. Whereas I'll say this, you mentioned Bucky, but that running core with the Commanders, I think they lead to a more balanced offense. It's a very interesting concept.
They do. And it will be interesting to see how now it's almost like, let's just see how creative Cliff Kingsbury is going to be.
Yes. That
is what I want to see. I mean, he's been doing a great job. I think across the board. I mean, you can't say too much bad. This is a Commanders team that won 4 games last season. Mm-hmm. Won 12 this season. So it's like you can't say with so many bad things, right?
Right.
But I don't want, going back to the comment about quarterback play overall, I don't know if just quarterback play is going to get the Commanders the win this Sunday night or anytime in the playoffs. I think this is going to have to be a space where they have to create plays. So you might have to see like special teams, your punt and kick return. Somebody's going to have to break loose. Starting field position is going to have to be key in just creating chaos for the defense. They're going to have to create that friction, right? Now I don't necessarily
the complementary football aspect. They need it everywhere.
Absolutely, which is something that Dan Quinn, so glad you said that, has talked about a lot. That's got to be on full display. Now I don't necessarily mean like in the second matchup against the Eagles when Marshawn was getting like 800 PIs and we were like, what is happening?
That is not complimentary football.
That is not complimentary football. I'm not sure what that is. And some of those totally thought they were not. I thought they were all bogus. Some of them were bogus. Like one wasn't, but I was just like, this is getting crazy now. This is kind of egregious, but you don't want anybody to get kicked out. If someone does get kicked out, let's hope it's not Marshawn, because he and Mike Evans got a history. So
they do. Get your popcorn for that. You're not wrong.
Yes, that is gonna be, hey, please nobody get put out. So it's just because with the second, one of the Eagles players, who is it? CJ Gardner-Jones, he got ejected. Like these games get intense. So which you don't really see very often in a Commanders game, but that's just the attitude they have now. Especially
that's part of that culture change, right?
Oh, absolutely. So like you just said, complimentary football has to be on full display on Sunday night. It cannot just be quarterback play in a clutch moment to get them to win the game. That's how I genuinely feel.
So I'll say this before I ask you how you think it's going to turn out. Somewhere by now, by the time that see this, it's quite possible that I'm on the record somewhere picking your Red Tails to win the playoff game on the road. Do you see that?
So I have a superstition, and I've been predicting them losing every week. So
you're one of those. I know it. Matt Muleheisen on the Huddle Up picks against the Eagles every time. Go ahead, though. I got you.
So that's what I do. Like every week, I'm like, no, they're gonna lose. And then like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, hey, listen, it's helping me. It's helping me get through. So it's just like
you're hedging your bets. I get that. That's okay.
I'm hedging my bets, and so it will be interesting. I would be lying to you, Kyle, if I didn't say I was a bit anxious. Like, wow, what is really going to happen? Like,
this is one I would not put a lot of money on. Like, I was talking with Jeff Hardman of the Fans First Sports Network, and we'll admit that we'll put, because the Steelers are getting 10 points. That's egregious. I think that's nuts. But seeing, Tampa Bay has just that required home team giving away 3 points. That even Vegas doesn't know what to think is what they're telling you, right?
Yeah.
And then they're 50.5 over under. That's a great number. Don't touch this game. I'm not a degenerate. I don't bet. Don't touch this game. Don't do it. You've been warned. So
I totally agree. I think this is one that, we always hope it's not like a bad call determine the whole game. I'm hoping it's not one of those. I'm hoping
it might be that close to where it does, and that's the thing.
And yes. So. I mean, the Commanders have been in 5 clutch, like truly clutch games this season. It's been 5. They did it the whole month of December, and they did it in the Hail Mary game against the Bears. That is just, it's almost like it's on purpose at a certain point in time. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's the script writers are at work again, Candi Waller. That's what we're saying. No, and for context, the single score games to which you refer are a 1-point win over the Saints. What is it? 3 points over the Eagles, and then 6, a touchdown over the Falcons, and then 4 points over the Cowboys.
Yeah, and then it was but they're all like in the last, like the touchdown against the Falcons was an overtime to just win.
Correct. That's right. That's right. I mean,
we all know the Hail Mary game. Everybody knows the Hail Mary story. So
yeah, and it's a great one. I get struggling against the Eagles, even with them having their backup quarterback in, because let's be frank, that Eagles defense is amazing. I know they gave up 36 points, whatever, but fine, it's still a good defense. I was a little disappointed you let Riptide Rush Cooper stay in the game that long with the Cowboys, but okay, sure. It's a win. But this isn't college football. There's not style points. So you're a playoff team, and I think this was one of the upsets, I'll say, is what I picked. The game I don't know how it's going to turn out. The one where the pendulum swings the widest, I think, is the Steelers game.
Yes.
But as the betting line goes, this one, Vegas doesn't know what to think. I just think they're wrong about the Ravens-Steelers game. I do have the Ravens winning it, but I also think that giving up 9.5 or 10 points is nuts. So anyways.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But CWall, another great performance. Obviously, you'll be back again, maybe to take another victory lap if we could get the schedules to work out and your Commanders win next week. But in the meantime, tell the world where you can be found.
You all can find me on X at CWall SE. Definitely subscribe to Bowie TV on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, just Candi Waller, my name. Go ahead, send me a request. I'll accept it. Bowie TV Sports on IG and X as well. All the things.
Wait, I don't know that one. What TV Sports?
Bowie TV. TV.
Of course I knew about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know the name of the site. I mentioned Bowie TV earlier. This is why I call you Madam President.
Yes.
Poor Candi deals with me and my formality whenever I message her. Madam President. Hello. Kyle, what is it? So thanks for coming in. As always, Candi, great time all the way around. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads. I'm one of the cool kids, CWall. I'm on Blue Sky. Also, there you can find me on the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans for Sports Network covering the Orlando Magic and the Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as my work with the Black and Gold Banneret covering football and basketball for UCF, as well as the Night Shift podcast talking all things UCF sport in that space. So for the incomparable Candi Waller, I am Kyle Nash, student of the game. Till next time, everyone, class dismissed.